We are live, so that's good. So I'll see you in just a minute.
Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve Givens. I am the executive director of the Bridges Foundation here in St. Louis. And we want to welcome you to another episode of Bridges Conversations, where we get to talk to some of our friends. And today we're talking with one of our very best friends and longtime supporters, Jesuit Father Mark McKenzie. Good afternoon, Mark.
Good afternoon. It's good to be here.
Really good to see you.
Yeah.
I see we have a few people joining us already. If you have questions for Father Mark as we go along, please feel free to put those in the chat right there in Facebook, and I'll see them. So Father Mark is a long time, I'll let him tell you a little bit more, but he's a longtime Jesuit priest, spiritual director, friend, advisor to the Bridges community. He's been a pastor. He's had a number of different ministries. And today we're going to talk a little bit about that history, but also we'd like to hear from him about kind of having an Ignatian approach and mentality as we enter into this season of Lent that begins next Wednesday. So, Father Mark, just to kind of kick this off and get us started, could you tell us? I know you're a St. Louisan, but could you tell us a little bit about your upbringing here in St. Louis and how you kind of made your way to the Jesuits?
Okay. Thanks. You talked about old, long time. It's been a while. My parents were both strong Catholics. Catholic University educated. Dad is an alumnus of St. Louis University, Commerce and Finance Night School. And mother is an alumna of Fontbonne University. They married when the day after Dad turned 34 and about a month before Mom turned 27. So they were a little older, but they were mature in their faith. Dad was daily Mass and communion almost all the time. And Mom, after they got the 6 of us out of the house and into school, then she got going to church a lot more. But let's see. I'm the oldest of 6. The sister next to me was a religious sister. She's deceased now. My next sister was a spiritual director. That was her career. And her husband is an Episcopal priest. He's retired now. I got another brother who followed Dad in the investment business, and he's a strong Catholic in the middle of Nebraska. He and his wife and 3 kids, they're all married, and he's got a bunch of grandkids. Then I have the next brother is United Church of Christ. He's very active in that church, Parkway United Church of Christ, with his wife. And then my youngest brother is very much into men's spirituality up in the middle of Ohio. So we've got strong spiritual formation. We really grew up in it. And a big part of that was the spiritual exercises. Dad was an annual retreatant at the White House, made 49 retreats. He died the year before he could make his 50th. And my mother was regular with the the Senecal sisters, who also gave the exercises. So it's part of my background. I went to St. Louis U High, graduated in 1956. So this fall is a big year for me. Well, I guess this spring would be graduation 70 years ago from high school. So it's a big number. But I encounter the exercises every year in a short version, as we made annual student retreats. But then my senior year, we went to White House.
Hmm.
And in fact, it was in January of 70 years ago, 56, that I made my retreat. And that was kind of when I decided to become a Jesuit. We had Jesuits part of our family as I was growing up. The main one was a man named Edward Dowling. A number of people would recognize that name. He was Bill Wilson's spiritual director for the AA.
Oh, right.
And the way I picture it is that he had as part of his experience with Bill W., they realized the stress that alcohol put on marriages. And so Ed, just for marriages in general, my parents weren't dealing with alcoholism, but Dowling had a group of couples, which he called Cana. Now, I don't know the relation of that to the Cana conferences and stuff, but they would meet regularly. So I knew him when I was a kid. Great man. When I was in high school and finally got to drive, I would drive him home after the meetings. But then, as part of that group, there was one couple that was related to the Reinerts, so he was around, and Dad was on the athletic council at St. Louis University, so he knew those guys. So I was around Jesuits, and then I went to St. Louis U High.
Yeah.
So.
And then did you go to seminary at the old St. Stanislaus in Florissant?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Did you do college? You do college and seminary there, or how does that work back then?
Yeah. We did. The first 2 years were mostly spiritual formation, studying Latin and Greek. So that's the beginning of liberal arts. And then we had 2 more years of college. That was the liberal arts stuff, English and Latin and Greek and history. Then we went to St. Louis U for 3 years of philosophy.
Oh, gotcha.
To the campus.
Right.
And then I went and taught in Kansas City for 3 years, taught math, and got to do some neat coaching. And then theology, St. Mary's, Kansas, 1 year, and St. Louis University, 3 years. And at the end of the second year there, I was ordained in 1969. And then during my years we were in the old Coronado Hotel. And that was called Lewis Memorial. We had our theologate there. And in those years, I got involved at St. Matthew's Parish not St. Matthew. Matthew was later. St. Barbara's Parish in the Weston area. So that was my introduction to the Black community. And that has been a big part of my life and my heart.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah. Could you kind of briefly sketch for us your life of ministry, kind of the different things that you've done?
Well, I had my 3 years of teaching as a regent in the early 60s at Rockhurst High School. And then after ordination, I went to St. Louis U High for 5 years. And I was teaching math, but my main job was to recruit kids from North City. And so we ran a summer program, a residential summer program. We went out to Warrenton, Missouri, to the Passionist place. We'd go out on Monday morning and come back on Friday night. And we'd have classes. We did math and literature, the fun stuff. We did a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
And then in the afternoon, we'd do sports. We had a study hall in the afternoon and a study hall at night. That was one of the main foci of the thing, was to help them learn how to study, how to sit down and read a book. Yeah. And these were kids between the summer between their 7th and 8th grade year. And then during the 8th grade year, we run special Saturday sessions at St. Louis U High till the entrance exam. And we picked up some great students. It really made a difference in a lot of lives. So anyway, I did that for 5 years. And then all the time, I was also working at St. Barbara's on the weekends. So my heart was falling in love with parish life.
Hmm.
So I went out to Denver to Sacred Heart Parish, which was in the Black community, but also bilingual. There was Spanish there. And so that's where I learned Spanish out there, kind of on the street to start with. But then I was there for 9 years and then went back to Kansas City for 5, teaching the sons of the guys I taught back in the 60s. That was in the late 80s. After that, I got a sabbatical year, and then I went out to Trinidad, Colorado as a pastor for 10 years. And that's where I really got going on the 19th annotation exercises. We did it as a whole province in the 80s, in like 88, I think, or something like that. So when I got out there as pastor in 90, there were a couple people who wanted more. So we started doing it. And that was the same time that who were the couple that started in St. Louis? The
Fellings.
Fellings, yeah. I met with them in the fall of 90. And I think they were pretty early in their process then. And they gave me some hints on how to get started out in Colorado. So we got it going out there, and I've been doing that ever since. So I had 10 years in Trinidad, then I got another year off, and then I came to St. Matthew in St. Louis.
Yeah.
I was there from 2001 to 2013. And then I spent 5 years doing the pastoral assistant to the provincial, and then had a couple of odd job things for a couple of years in there. I spent 6 months in San Antonio. We were closing a parish. We were letting go of a parish for the diocese there. And then I spent 6 months at Montserrat Retreat House in Dallas, again doing retreats in English and Spanish, and then came to St. Louis Jesuit Hall.
Little times, and somewhere in there, you're out in New Mexico for a little while as a pastor.
Yeah, Alamogordo. That was after I came to live at St. Louis U. That was, I think, 2021 maybe.
Wow.
It was from Ash Wednesday to Pentecost. I think it was in 2021. Yeah, I spent some time in Alamogordo, and that got us one of our retreatants for Bridges.
I remember that.
Yeah. So it's like God has been so good. I mean, I've had a rich variety of different things that I got to do.
Do you? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but do you remember how long you've been involved with Bridges, or?
Well, my first connection with Bridges was with the Fellings in 90,
right?
And then, but then, I guess
because you've been on our board as the Jesuit liaison for quite a while now.
That was, I don't know. It would have been sometime after. Oh no, I know. I was with Bridges because when I came back as in 2001 at St. Matthew. Names are one of the things. Aging.
Pam Mason.
No, well, Pam. I directed Pam, I think, or at least she went through after we got it started. No, there was another lady, a lawyer, had been working with it at the Luanga Center, and it was kind of sagging, so we got it going again. That got me back into it. What's her name? She's a wonderful lady.
Well, I'm not sure who's listening right now. If anybody knows, let us know. So, in the interest of time, let's shift gears a little bit, and we want to spend a little time talking about kind of having an Ignatian approach to Lent. What do you think you've learned from Ignatian spirituality and from the spiritual exercises that you tend to bring with you every year into Lent?
Ignatius was very attentive to the body and the environment. He spent, that whole section at the end of the first week where he's given additional directions and he's talking about the light in the room and the diet and what you eat and don't eat, and fasting, and silence, and all that, all the physical stuff with prayer. Okay, so if Lent's going to be a prayer time, then you got to also involve the spiritual in it. But where I got to really understand Lent was when I became pastor in Trinidad, Colorado. So that would have been 1990. We had a woman there named Joyce Kucha, who was a director of religious ed, but she had been trained in the new RCIA because that was just getting going then. And she really knew what she was doing. Mm-hmm. And so we did it. I mean, we started with the inquiry, and then when it came to Lent, it was really a time when the whole parish was invited to be supportive of the people in the RCIA, because we had done it on the beginning of Lent. In the beginning of Advent, you welcome them to the community. At the beginning of Lent, you welcome them into the bigger church, and then all through Lent. That's the meaning of the fasting and the other prayer experiences. And there were a lot of stuff that we did that was supportive of them. And I think that's where the meaning, the deepest meaning I ever got to the fasting and stuff. I mean, I grew up in a traditional Catholic home where both of my parents fasted. Mm-hmm. And when I turned 21, I was at Florissant. I had already entered the novitiate. Actually, I guess I was in the junior. We fasted and all that stuff. But funny little anecdote on that one.
Please.
Sunday morning during Lent at Florissant, we had a farm out there. And Sunday morning, our breakfast was cornbread and stew. Because that was when you could eat meat. So anyway, so I mean, I grew up in the old church. I was in theology in 66 to 70. So that was right after Vatican II, an exciting time. But then the Ignatian emphasis on the body, that you involve your body in your prayer. To me, that just fit right in with fasting and other penances. We had other little penances we did in the novitiate and stuff that, that was just to enhance our prayer. Well, Ignatius talks about that. What is it? Number 87, 88, 89, one of those in there. No, it's 89, where the reason you're doing this, number one, is to make up for your sins. The second is self-discipline. Mm-hmm. And the third is to ask for something, you add in a little penance. Yeah. And so, I mean, it fits with Ignatius's whole approach of involving the whole person in your prayer. So, yeah, it's very much, Ignatius was very much in that flow.
Are there any specific meditations, contemplations within the exercises that you tend to return to in some ways, maybe especially during Lent?
I return to the two standards a lot because really? I think in the world in which we live today, both standards are alive and well. Let's
talk about that a little more, because I think for some people that maybe if it's been a while since they've prayed the exercises or are familiar with the two standards, I think the two standards at first glance can seem kind of simple, right? Well, let's just choose between good and evil, and that's pretty easy to do because we're all pretty good people, right? But it's more complicated than that, right? So what would you say about that?
Yeah, if you look at the dynamic, the two kingdoms, the two flags, in the standard of Satan, it starts with a desire for wealth, which then leads to honor and fame, a famous name, headlines in the newspaper, all that kind of stuff. All the news articles on the TV show are about you. to pride, to injustice and racism and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We live in the middle of that. But then the standard of Christ, it goes the exact opposite. It's like, I don't need all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's, I think, one of the things you learn by fasting and other penances during Lent is I can let go of stuff and still thrive.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we let go of stuff, and that leads us to simplicity and humility and openness to let God do things God's way. And it just really works. And we could use a good dose of the standard of Christ. Well, although what's really neat is that there's a lot of that catching on today, that there are large numbers of people standing up for baptism at Easter. I mean, they talk about the numbers of people in the they call the OCIA now. But the number of people in that these days is just massive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we need
both.
It's a battle.
I was going to say, is that's during a really difficult time in the world and in our country and really in our church right now. Do you see that as a sign of hope that there is a way through this? Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing that I really enjoy, I find joy in, is the number of Christians from other denominations who are finding the exercises to be the source of life that they are, that it's about Jesus. And I think if we can ever really get in touch with Jesus, we'll meet some really neat people there.
Yeah.
And we've historically, I guess from the defensiveness of the Middle Ages, there's been a thread of defensiveness within Catholicism. And we've kind of fostered that, or we've invited it, I guess, from some of the other Protestant denominations have a history of defensiveness about Catholics. And what seems to me is the Spirit's up to these days is trying to get us together, at Jesus. If we can just meet Jesus and the Spirit and come into the presence of the Father, we'll find us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have, I was just going to ask if anybody had any comments to go ahead and put them in the chat. And I see one just came through and we put it on the screen for you. This is from our friend Steve Tadrick, who asks, can you explain the importance of the examination during the Ignatian program and its importance in daily life? So I guess by examination, I think he probably means the daily exam. How does this fit in and strengthen that?
Ignatius was big on examinations, on looking back and watching God at work. That's what I see Ignatius was doing there. God was at work in his life, and he recognized that, and then he rejoiced in it. But then he wanted other people to see that. So what he did is he developed a form of prayer daily, where you would look for, where was God in my life? Where was God active in my life? And so, I mean, that's basically what it's all about. Where was God? And so, you go through the steps of it, but basically the key to it is God was good to me today. God is good all the time. And then, so it's looking and finding God and then rejoicing, being grateful, gratitude. Because then gratitude overcomes all kinds of stuff.
But you can't be grateful for something you're not aware of, right? Which is the importance of the exam.
Yeah. So you got to look. You got to go back and look and see. And just to see, we had a mass today. The homily was very nice, and I found that helpful. But we got out a little bit early, and I got up to talk to you a little bit before we got going here, and that kind of eased me into the flow here. That was a gift. I'm grateful to God for that.
And us for you. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just God is so good in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A few minutes left. I wanted to ask. So you're getting older. You and I were talking about this a little earlier. I know you have some health issues that require some attention and regular trips to the clinic and that sort of thing. When you think about, all those years of ministry, where you are in life right now, how do you think diminishment, getting older, maybe even suffering, how should that fit into our spirituality, the way that we approach God, and what are both the dangers and the challenges of approaching that kind of life, you think, that stage of life?
Well, Lent might help a little bit here. It's letting go. I mean, that to me, that's the main theme of these years. I cannot do what I used to do. I don't have the energy. I don't have the health. I don't have the breath. After we finish here, I will breathe for a while. That's just, time is taken up with concern of the body. And that's part of my ministry today, is to stay kind of healthy so that I can do the things that I can do. But I've had to let go this past year of being a prayer companion. I've had to let go of being the liaison between the Jesuit province and Bridges. I've had to let go of being on the boards and all that kind of stuff. I just don't have the energy to do that anymore. I've been fortunate to be able to continue doing some individual spiritual direction with people with whom I have a history. I have the energy for now to keep that going, but I was thinking about that last week, just wondering if I can still do it. I do dialysis 3 days a week for 4 hours, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday afternoon, and I'm shot after that. So it's kind of, that just limits what I can do. But I mean, our life has limits. There's just some stuff you can't do.
Yeah.
And so you accept it and find God in that. I mean, God's in there because there's still joy. There's still consolation. This Ignatian stuff still works. The consolations are still there. They come from different stuff, but it's very, very real.
Yeah.
And the desolations are there too. When I can't do something.
But there's freedom in that, in offering that up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's, well, the principle and foundation.
Yeah.
If it helps, you do it, and if it doesn't, you let it go.
Yeah.
I learned that a long time ago, and it really, when you get to be 87, it's definitely applicable.
We have a couple other comments and questions that came in. I'm going to, in the interest of time, I'll let you see both of them, and we'll see if we can kind of cover them. First of all, Teresa Rice Skurlock wrote, "Father Mark always gives me hope for the future. What are some practical things we can do?" And I think maybe she means to hold on to that kind of hope. And then also Don Landy, one of our recent retreatants, asked, can you talk a little bit about your love of breath prayers?
Okay. So, I can hit both of those. I can
there you go.
Both.
Thank you.
Okay. For Teresa's, recognizing God at work in your life. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Whatever structure or prayer form you do, but sometime, or better, often in your day, look for God at work. And as you see it, say thanks. Just rejoice. Enjoy God at work, because that's where hope comes from. Hope means God is at work, and God's winning, and God's going to win, and Jesus already won. And so just look for God in your life, and as you see that, rejoice.
also means, right, we're not alone, and we don't have to do this all on our own, because God is at work.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Okay.
And
then breath prayer, a way that my brother-in-law, my Episcopal priest brother-in-law, taught me to pray is where you come into the presence of God and in the presence of Jesus. I like to meet him on a bench out on the walkway. And he says, "What can I do for you?" It's like with Bartimaeus. "What can I do for you?" And you answer that. Now, the one that has worked most for me, and it occurred to me in the middle of a homily at St. Matthew Church, is, "Jesus, make my heart like yours." I can use a heart like the Lord's. So I pray that. "Jesus, make my heart like yours." And I can do that in a breath. So that's one. "Jesus, help me do this your way." I use that a lot.
And praying with your breath helps kind of slow you down, center you while you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can always do it. I mean, it doesn't take any time or any attention. You just kind of do it, climb it up the steps. These days, I still try to do the steps some of the time, but then I have to breathe. So that's a good time for the breath prayer. Jesus, help me love your way.
Thank you, gosh, for all that. You mentioned, and I want to mention this so that people in the Bridges community know, and I'll let you talk about it a little bit as we wrap up here. But you mentioned that your community, St. Ignatius Hall, right?
Ignatius Hall,
Hall out in Florissant, is going to be specifically praying for Bridges and for organizations like Bridges throughout the province. You just talk a little bit about that. We really appreciate that.
Oh, okay. Well, what we do here is there are a lot of Jesuit apostolates in our province. And so what we do here is every week we pick one of them. Right now, this year, we're going through them in the order they're in the Jesuit catalog. So it's alphabetical order by cities. So we're coming into the St. Louis area now. And but right now we're in Houston, I think, but we're going to be moving towards St. Louis. But we pray for one apostolate. I'm going to finish that cycle. I'm kind of organizing it. We're going to finish that cycle in the end of June. And that the last week of June, our prayer intention will be for all of the spirituality centers in the province. So it's Bridges and Jesuit Ignatian Spirituality Center in Kansas City, the Ignatian Spirituality Program in Denver, the Ignatian Spirituality Institute in Dallas, Fort Worth. There's a couple others I'm going to check up on, but we're going to be praying for that specifically all week. Every mass we have, that's one of the intentions. And then when we have community prayer, it's also in there.
Oh, well, gosh, thank you.
And the guys have kind of taken it on now, because the other thing we do is we have a in-house video, and on that there are scenes from whatever the apostolate is. I have to figure out how to do that for us, but the guys then look at that. It's in their rooms, and they can use that as a basis for prayer, and they do.
That's awesome.
We do. Yeah. So that's our job. Our assignment is no longer Rockhurst High School or St. Louis University. It's to pray for the church and the Society of Jesus. Yeah. So that's what we do. That's what I do for a living.
We are grateful to be included in those prayers, grateful for the support, the long support of the Jesuit community, grateful that you have allowed us into your work and supported our work. And we would not be who we are today doing what we're doing without the Jesuits in the St. Louis area and without very specific people like you and Father Joe Tetlow and others. So we're tremendously grateful.
Well, you're most welcome. And we're really grateful to you too, because you give us legs.
Yeah, thank you. We're wrapping up here. I'll mention that next month which is March, which is Women's History Month. I'm going to be talking on Friday, March 13th with one of our prayer companions, Mary White, sorry. And we're going to be talking about the history of women as formators of Ignatian spirituality, which is a group that she runs right now for us in our Magis program. And so we're going to be, I don't know a lot about that. So I'm going to be looking forward to learning a little bit about that. So please join us on March 13th. Well, I think that's the end of our time. Father Mark McKenzie, thank you very much again for being with us today. And I hope to, we have to arrange a time for me to come out and have lunch again. So be good to spend time with you.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're going to sign off now. If you just hold on a minute, I'll be right back to you. Well, thank you all, and we'll see you next month.